Hey everybody, welcome to Cut, Transform, Glue. In this week's video, I'm gonna teach you guys how to make some cool textured panels using only disposable plastic plates and some car BONDO. This is a cool tutorial, also very cheap to do. So without any further ado, let's get to it. So the first thing you're gonna need is, of course, the disposable plastic plates. This is very cheap and also very easy to find, so go ahead and grab a bunch of them from different sizes and textures. And by this point, I believe some of you guys already got the idea. As you can see on this shot, in the bottom of each plate there's a texture, and using the car BONDO we are going to extract that texture in all its details. So by the end of the tutorial, you are going to have some cool plates that you can store and then use in your projects. Now, the first thing I'm gonna do is to cut the texture from the bottom of the plate. I'm doing that because the plate as is too flimsy and I want it to be flat. I don't want it to be wrinkled or bent in any way. And then I'm going to glue the textures on some flat surface. Also, a good thing to notice here is that each plate has two textures, one in the front and one in the back, and each one is the opposite of the other. But for now, let's go ahead and remove the bottom from all plates and then glue it with some double-sided tape to some styrene sheet. It is important that you use a good amount of double-sided tape on the back of each plastic texture, and that is because you really want to glue it in your flat surface very firmly. You don't want it to have any wrinkles, so make sure to have some double-sided tape on each side but also on the middle. Also, the flat surface can be of any material. You can use wood or a piece of glass, anything that's flat and sturdy. Now let me try to show you guys how each plate has two textures. So if you look right here in this one, the squares are proud and the lines are recessed, and if you look in the back, the opposite is happening. So I really think you should really try to get both textures and have them in your collection. But before you go ahead and put the car BONDO on the plastic texture, you need to use some mold release agent, and in this case I'm using some kind of grease that is used on some machinery, and that is just to make sure that the car BONDO won't stick to the plastic because it can ruin your texture. So in my case I'm using a brush to apply it thoroughly on the surface of the plastic. So now that the texture is taken care of, we gotta think about the back of each copy. So to ensure I'll have a flat surface on the back, I'll use some styrene, but I also have to apply that same grease to that styrene piece. Now it is time to use the car BONDO, and as a warning here, this thing can have a really bad smell, so make sure to do that on a well ventilated area. And as I bought the white one, I'll just add some black pigment that I have to make it look gray and help you guys see the textures in the final product. So in my case, I'll just go ahead and mix it with the pigment and really try to not make a mess. Then I put a few drops of the hardener and again mix it well. And then I'll pour that body filler, the car BONDO, on the first texture. And as I'll squeeze that car body filler with my other piece of styrene, I'm just pouring it right in the middle of the texture. Now with this side that has the grease, I'll squeeze the car body filler and I'll try to match the thickness on each side of that. Give it 10 to 15 minutes and then you can already try to release it. I guess you can give it more time, maybe a couple of hours, but I just prefer to work with it while it's not 100% set yet, because it's easier to cut it and remove. And as you can see, right in the middle, we've got the texture just fine. So now I just want to trim the edges, because I like to store it square and not round as is. And this goes to show you guys why I prefer to work with it while it's not 100% set. This way I can easily cut it with my snap knife. At this point it is almost flexible. Once it was removed from the styrene, I gave it a couple of hours to really get hard, and then I did some cleaning, and this is the final result. And as you can see, the back of the texture is flat and really good to use on a scratch build project. Then I made another mix, a lighter gray this time, to try to get the second texture. And this time I really squeezed it. I was trying to get the thinnest texture plate I could. And it worked just fine. As you can see right here, it is really thin, thinner than the one before. You just have to wait a little more before trying to remove it from the styrene. The back of it is also flat and great to use on a scratch build project. I also made some other mixtures to try to get the other textures. This time I've used some magenta pigment, and as you can see in this shot, sometimes you can get some air bubbles. This is no problem for me. I can use this plate on a ground texture for a base or a diorama. And this one right here, I think it is the best of this batch. I was able to get every detail of the plate. And in this shot right here, you can see the plates being used on a project, on a diorama. And to me, the cool thing about this technique is that it's really cheap. You can just go ahead and try to find some plastic, some disposable stuff that has some nice texture. Just grab your car body filler and try to extract it and use it on your projects. So if you think this tutorial helped you in any way, leave me a thumbs up and also leave me a comment. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. But of course, as always, thanks for watching.